Now let us discuss the factors that affect the time value of money. Here is the formula for calculating the future value of a sum of money. FV is the future value, and PV is the present value of that sum of money. I is the cost of capital. However, to simplify the matter, we will assume I is the bank interest rate. In reality, the cost of capital includes many things such as the cost of interest on loans, the expected return of the owner, and the cost of using trade credit of the supplier. Finally, the number of compounding periods. The number of compounding periods represents how many times the interest is calculated on the value of the sum of money in a certain period of time. Looking at this formula, we can see that the interest rate and the number of compounding periods are the factors that affect the time value of money. Now let us discuss the first element, interest. We have two basic types of interest, simple interest and compound interest. And real interest or nominal interest is just the result of compound interest. Simple interest is the interest paid or earned on the principal only. And compound interest is interest that is paid not only on the principal, but also on any interest earned but not withdrawn during earlier periods. Now let's do a little example to make sure you understand these two types of interest. If you deposit $1,000 in a savings account paying 6% interest simple compounded annually, what is interest earned at the end of year 2? Here is the solution. First, with the simple interest, the interest is calculated simply by taking the principal multiplied by the interest rate and then multiplied by the term of the deposit, $120. With compound interest, the interest we receive each year is different. The interest we receive after the first year is still calculated by multiplying the principal and the interest rate, which is $60. But the interest in the second year will include the interest earned on the $1,000 principal and the interest earned on the $60 interest in the first year, for a total of $63.60 for the second year. So the total interest we receive after 2 years is $123.60. Obviously, the value of compound interest is always greater than that of simple interest with the same stated interest rate. According to you, borrowers and lenders, who will prefer simple interest and who will prefer compound interest? Borrowers will prefer simple interest because their payout will be low. Lenders will prefer compound interest because their loan returns will be higher. Now, for example, you deposit money at the bank. So is the interest rate on the savings deposit simple interest or compound interest? To answer this question, we first need to determine who is the borrower and who is the lender in this transaction. Obviously, the borrower is the bank, because the bank receives your money, and you are the lender because you give the money to the bank and receive interest. Who determines the interest rate on the deposit? You or the bank? It is the bank, because the bank determines the interest rate and the bank is the borrower. The interest rate on the deposit will definitely be simple interest. We can also easily recognize this because no matter how long you deposit money, the interest will be calculated only once at the end of the term and only on the initial deposit amount. For example, if you deposit for 4 months or 14 months, the bank will only calculate interest for you after 4 months or 14 months. About number of periods. Number of periods is the total number of times interest is charged to the loan over its life. For example, if you now deposit $1,000 in a savings account for 2 years, which has an annual interest rate of 6%, what is the number of periods? If the interest is compounded quarterly, 6 monthly, and monthly, I think no one has any problem with this example. It's too simple. The interest is compounded quarterly, meaning it compounds 4 times per year. So 2 years will compound 8 times. Same for the other 2 situations? Okay, we finish here. See you in next lessons.